What if you woke up tomorrow in a Viking village? No phones, no mercy, no second chances. The air smells like blood and seawater. The nearest hospital is your neighbor's dirty knife. And if you look weak, you won't last the morning. Tonight, we're traveling back to a brutal, beautiful, and unforgiving era where survival was a skill, not a right. Forget what TV told you. The Viking Age wasn't all horned helmets and heroic battles. It was colder, harsher, more savage than you think. So, before we step onto that longship, take a second to like the video and subscribe. But only if you're ready to see history in its rawest form, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. It's always wild to see where our tribe is tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, take a deep breath, and steel yourself, because you've just landed in the 9th century. And the Vikings, they don't care that you're not ready. The night is quiet now. The room around you may be dim, hushed, and waiting for rest. Perhaps you are already beneath a warm blanket. Perhaps your eyes are already growing heavy. That is perfectly fine. In fact, it is more than fine. It is welcome. You are safe here. You are invited to drift gently into another time, another life, one that is far from the world you know. This is not a tale of action. It is not a story filled with sharp clashing swords or roaring fires or shouting warlords on wind-lashed ships. No. This is the quiet kind of story, the kind that slips in slowly, like mist curling through an open window. This is the story of a day you might not survive, not because of violence or war, but because the world itself was so utterly, wholly, and beautifully different. Viking times, the age of oars and longhouses, of salt-worn wood and smoky hearths, of hard hands and calloused feet, of gods that walked unseen beside men. The Northmen, fierce in memory, but just as human in flesh. They rose with the frost, labored under gray skies, spoke in words we would not understand, and followed rules far older than ink, and in this story, you are there. You will wake and breathe the air of that time. You will open your eyes in a world where nothing feels soft or familiar, and yet everything seems real. You will wear their clothes. You will eat their food. You will walk through the snow with aching legs and hope that you are not seen as strange. Because to be strange in this world is dangerous. But do not worry. You may fall asleep along the way. You may close your eyes and drift from one century to another. You may forget where you are, and that is more than allowed. In fact, that is part of the journey. These words will carry you even if you are not listening. They are meant to whisper across the landscape of your imagination, to rest gently at the edge of your dreams. And if you do stay awake, if you make it all the way to nightfall in Viking times, you may begin to understand just how far we have come and just how close we still are to those flickering firelit shadows from the past. This will not be a day of comfort. It will not be a day of hot water or soft socks or safe medicine. It will be a day of windburn, of creaking joints, of slow meals by smoky fires, of silence broken only by the crackle of wood and the cough of tired men. You will try to belong. You will try to follow the customs. You will try to survive. But it will not be easy. In fact, you may not last a day, but that is the beauty of it. You do not have to. You can simply listen. Let your thoughts loosen. Let your body grow heavy. Let your breath slow. And let the story begin. Now, close your eyes if you have not already. Sink into the voice. Let your mind drift across the sea, through the fog, into the cold hush of another age. Your journey begins, not with battle, not with blood, but with sleep. You feel it first in the silence, the stillness of a moment suspended, just before it becomes something else. Not quite dream, not quite waking, a space in between, that breathless place where time folds and turns inward, and from within that fold, something stirs. A softness, a shift, a tug on the edge of your awareness like a thread being gently drawn through old linen. And then, the air changes. You do not open your eyes. Not yet, but you feel the difference. The cold is real now. Not the soft chill of your bedroom air, but something deeper. It smells of peat smoke and wet wood, of wool soaked in mist. The scent clings to your breath. You feel the sharp crispness against your cheeks, as though you have been sleeping close to a stone wall that sweats in the cold. Your body is curled tightly, instinctively, beneath something rough and heavy. A blanket, but not the kind you know. It is scratchy, made of coarse, untreated wool. It smells faintly of animals. There is a lingering musk in the fibers, like lanolin and earth. You run your fingers along its edge and feel the irregular weave, the handmade texture that holds, warmth in its stubborn thickness. Slowly, you begin to uncurl. Your joints ache, not from illness or injury, but from the chill that settles deep during the night. Your hands are cold. Your toes are colder. The straw beneath your body crackles softly as you shift. It is packed into a thin mattress laid over rough planks. A few pieces poke through the cloth cover and itch your skin. There is no cushion, only the memory of one. Now, open your eyes. You do so slowly, carefully, as though you are afraid to startle the past. Above you, a wooden ceiling looms low and dark. Thick beams, blackened with age and smoke. Spiderwebs catch the early light, glistening like frost. The air is dim, a sleepy gray that leaks in from one narrow window. There is no glass, only a wooden shutter that has been pushed open just a sliver. Through it, pale morning filters in, the kind of light that touches everything but warms nothing. You sit up. Your breath escapes in a soft cloud. The room is small, just enough for a few bodies to sleep side by side. The walls are made of timber, notched and stacked, sealed with dried moss. Everything smells old, not unpleasant, just lived in. Ancient. This place has known 1,000 winters, 1,000 quiet mornings just like this. In one corner, a hearth made of stone crouches like a forgotten beast. A few embers still glow faintly in the ash, whispering their last heat. Beside it, a clay pot hangs on an iron hook. It smells faintly, of porridge and wood smoke. Someone has cooked here. Someone will cook again. But for now, everything is waiting. You swing your feet to the floor. The cold strikes your soles immediately. The boards are uneven, and you feel every dip and splinter. You reach for your clothing. It is folded nearby, but stiff, heavy. Not soft cotton or fleece, but thick wool garments, hand-stitched, coarse, and meant to last through storms. A tunic, trousers, a belt made from twisted leather, and a pair of thick socks, knit crudely, from sheep's wool, still smelling faintly of the flock. You dress slowly. The fabric scratches your skin. It is warm, eventually, but not comforting. It fits awkwardly, too loose in places, too tight in others. There is no mirror here, only a bowl of cloudy water, half frozen, resting on a low bench. You lean over it. Your reflection is unclear, just shadows and motion, just a stranger. And then, you step outside. The door groans as it opens. Not a sharp sound, but deep, like old trees creaking in the wind. You have to duck your head beneath the lintel. The air outside is even colder. It presses into your lungs like smoke. The ground is hard, frosted. Your breath rises like steam. Around you, the village is waking, not with noise, but with movement. You see it in the smoke curling from chimney holes, in the shape of a woman pouring water from a wooden bucket, her hands red with cold. In the sound of chickens, half-hearted, in the dawn. Somewhere a child coughs. Somewhere a dog barks once, then falls silent. The world does not rush here. It stretches slowly into day, as though reluctant to leave the warmth of the night. The sky above is pale, overcast with a hint of rose in the east. Not sunrise, but the idea of one. You stand there for a long while, just breathing. The world around you feels real in a way that is almost unbearable. Every texture, every scent, every sound is alive. You can feel the past brushing up against you, not in stories or books or words, but in the way the wind stings your eyes, in the weight of the tunic on your shoulders, in the creak of wood beneath your feet. This is no reenactment, no dream. You are here, and you must survive the day. Not with heroics, not with bravado, but with gentleness, with quiet, with awareness. This world is not loud, but it demands everything from you. Your fingers are already numb, your stomach is already aching, and the day has barely begun. Welcome to Viking times. The sun has not risen high, and already there are rules pressing against your skin like the fabric you wear. The world of the Vikings was not chaos. No, it was ordered in its own quiet way. There were ways to be, ways to act, ways to appear, to walk, to speak, to survive. If you did not follow them, the land would not bend to help you, nor would the people. You are a stranger here, but if you are quiet, if you watch, you might learn how to move through this place unnoticed. Let us begin with what you wear. You run your hands along the fabric of your tunic. It is a rough wool, uneven in color. A faded brown that once tried to be red, perhaps, dyed from crushed roots and bark. It feels dry against your skin. Not unpleasant, but nothing like the soft, clean clothes of your time. These garments are alive in their own way. They carry the smell of fire, of earth, of hands that wove and stitched by firelight. Your trousers are wool, too, coarser and heavier, bound at the calves with leather cords. You feel their pressure with every step. Around your waist, a belt, not for style, but survival. It holds a knife, a pouch, a loop of twine. There are no decorations, only use. On your shoulders, a cloak, heavy and thick, clasped with a simple bronze brooch. It is made to block the wind, to hold in warmth, to remind the world that you belong to it. Your shoes are made of leather, soft from wear, bound with rawhide laces. They let in the cold. You feel every rock, every bend in the soil. You begin to walk more carefully, more slowly. Hair is not just hair here. Men wear it long, often braided. Women braid theirs too, in intricate coils or simple knots. Cleanliness matters. Oil made from fish or plants is rubbed into the scalp. Dirt is washed away when it can be. But water is precious. You see a boy scraping his fingernails with a sliver of bone. Not vanity, just order. Your face matters. Beards are trimmed. Teeth are cleaned with sticks. People notice how you keep yourself. They do not look for wealth, but for care. For signs that you know your place, that you understand the rules. You are not a lord. You are not a priest. You are not known. So you dress plainly. You walk softly. You look down when someone older speaks to you. Your appearance is your first message, and you hope it is enough. The village is small, but it has eyes. You feel them on you as you move. Not harsh, not suspicious, just present, watching, measuring. Here, silence is not awkward. It is expected. People speak when they have reason. Words are tools, not ornaments. A nod can carry as much meaning as a sentence. A glance downward can be a form of respect. You learn quickly. Never interrupt, never raise your voice. Keep your hands visible. When greeting someone, especially someone older or of higher rank, a slight bow of the head is good. Lower if they are a chieftain or a godee, a spiritual leader. Do not speak until spoken to, and never assume familiarity. Children are quiet around elders. Women speak softly in public, though they hold power in their homes. Men keep their distance from those they do not know. The body should not invade another's space. The hearth is sacred. The bench is offered only if someone wishes you to sit. Hospitality is holy, but rudeness is remembered. You see two men clasp forearms, firm but slow. Not a handshake, a test of presence, not strength. You try it later. Your grip is clumsy, but you hold your eyes steady. That seems to matter more. Laughter exists here, but not as you know it. It is dry, understated, shared among those who have earned it. And when it comes, it is soft, warm, like embers in the long dark. Even your walk has rules. Do not stride quickly unless you are a messenger. Do not slouch. That marks laziness. Keep your eyes level. Do not stare. This is not a world that forgives mistakes, but it respects effort. If you try to learn, if you show humility, you may be tolerated, and here, tolerance is survival. You begin to notice how everyone moves within invisible lines. Women gather near the longhouse. Hands. Busy with cloth, with food, with children. They stir pots with slow rhythm, mend tunics with bone needles, hum quietly to sleeping babies. Their work is constant, quiet, indispensable. A woman may own land. She may lead a household, but her tasks are carved deep by time. Men are farther, from the hearth. Some split wood, rhythm steady and hard. Others tend to the animals, scraping dung from the pen, checking the hooves of tired oxen. The strongest walk toward the boats. Fishers, traders, raiders. Their hands are calloused, their backs bowed. They speak little. Their eyes flick to the sky often, watching for signs in the clouds. You do not question it. You follow what is expected. If you are seen sewing, they raise an eyebrow. If you try to swing an axe without calluses, they smile, but not kindly. There is no cruelty in it, just order. Some roles are fluid, some are strict. A woman who loses her husband may lead the farm. A man injured in battle may help with weaving, but such changes come with stories. You have none. You are new, and so you stay in the middle. You copy. You mimic. You do not question. You simply do. Here, identity is earned, not chosen. Every village has its structure, and this one is no different. At the top, the chieftain. Not always by blood, but by reputation. He is the one who commands, who settles disputes, who leads when danger comes. His word carries weight. His house is larger. His cloak is thicker. His seat at the feast is never empty. Below, him, the godee, the spiritual man. Not a priest as you might know, but a keeper of ritual, of stories, of sacred knowledge. People lower their heads when he passes. Children are told not to stare. He does not smile easily. Then come the landholders, farmers, fishers, craftsmen, those who own their space in the world. Their homes are clean. Their fields are ordered. They speak with authority but not arrogance. Beneath them, the laborers, the hands that lift, carry, clean, mend. Their backs are bent, their eyes downcast, but they are not ashamed. Work is valued here, and lowest of all, the thralls, slaves, servants, not always mistreated, but always owned. You see them. You do not speak to them, and if you are mistaken for one, You do not correct it too quickly. Justice is swift. It is not always fair. If you steal, your hand may be cut. If you lie, your tongue may be marked. If you offend the wrong person, you may vanish. There are no jails, only memory, shame, banishment, blood. You walk carefully. You speak gently, and always, always, you watch. Because this world is not yours. It has its rhythm, and it does not slow for anyone. A day begins in Viking times. You are not awake so much as you are roused. Slowly, quietly, as if the day itself is reluctant to rise. There is no alarm, no chime, no light bulb snapping on, only the deep hush of the early hour where even the birds have not yet found their song. The room is still as you stir. Your body aches, not from injury, but from cold. It seeps into your bones, not violently, but insistently, like water soaking through stone. Your hands are tucked into your sides beneath the woolen blanket. Your feet are curled together for warmth, and still, the chill lingers like breath on the skin. Around you, others are beginning to move. Soft rustles, a quiet cough, the whisper of fabric against straw. No one speaks. No one needs to. Waking is not a ceremony here. It is a necessity. The fire in the hearth is no longer burning, only ash now, pale and brittle like snow made from bone. The air smells of it, of smoke long gone. You rise slowly. You sit on the edge of the bed. Not a bed in the way you know it, but a shared wooden platform covered in old furs and flattened straw. It creaks under your weight, a groan of old wood that complains gently with the movement. You reach for your tunic where it hangs near the hearth, stiff and cold from the night. You pull it on in silence, gritting your teeth as the wool touches your bare skin. It is never warm at first. Your cloak waits nearby. You wrap it around your shoulders like memory. The brooch fastens clumsily, your fingers not yet skilled, still remembering the fine buttons and zippers of another time. But you manage. Your feet, the floor is uneven and gritty. Bits of straw, old dirt, the ghosts of yesterday's labor. You step carefully. There is no light but the grayness outside, filtering through a wooden shutter now slightly ajar. It casts long shadows that move as you do. The smell of the room is rich, not unpleasant but heavy, a mixture of wool and earth and old smoke and sleeping breath. You hear the sound of water being ladled into a basin outside. And you know. It is your turn. You step out, and the cold stings sharper now. It bites at your cheeks, numbs your fingertips. The world is gray. Not the soft gray of modern skies, but something more solid, more ancient, like wet stone. The thatched roofs are still dark with dew. The ground is cold under your leather shoes, packed with last night's frost. You reach. The basin. It is a simple wooden bowl, filled with stream water. Still, icy, glistening like glass. You cup your hands and dip them in. The cold is a shock that snaps you fully awake. You splash your face. Once, twice. It steals the warmth from your skin, but leaves your eyes open, your mind alert. You do not linger. You shake the water from your fingers and wipe them on the rough cloth of your cloak. You breathe. A slow breath, heavy with the scent of wood smoke, sheep, and damp earth. Others are moving now. A woman carries kindling into the longhouse, her hands, red and raw from the cold. A boy leads 2 goats from a pen, their hooves clattering softly on the stone path. A dog stretches near the door, back arched, tongue lolling as it sniffs the morning. No one hurries. There is no rush here. The day unfolds as it always has, slowly, deliberately. It does not matter how much is done, only that it begins. You return to the longhouse where the hearth is being coaxed back to life. Small flames lick at dry twigs. A faint crackle builds. The warmth is slight but welcome. A pot is hung over the fire. Porridge, perhaps, or a stew left from last night. You are not sure, but the scent begins to fill the space. Something thick, something bland, something warm. The others gather, not close but nearby. There is no table, only benches, stones, the edge of the hearth. Someone hands you a wooden cup. It is not for tea. It holds something warm, though. A broth, thin but comforting. You sip slowly, carefully. It burns your tongue, just a little, but the warmth spreads through you like firelight through fog. No one speaks much. The fire does the talking. A baby fusses. A woman hums to calm it. A man mutters a prayer under his breath as he sharpens a knife. Outside, a raven calls once, sharp, echoing through the gray. This is the beginning of the day. No mirror, no clock, no caffeine, no screen, only the ritual of light returning, the body waking, the earth waiting to be worked. You do not rush. You simply exist. You are part of the morning now, and the morning is ancient. What and how they eat. The fire is alive now. It pops gently in the hearth, casting soft orange light onto the timbered walls. Shadows flicker across sleeping faces and hunched backs, making the room feel like it breathes. You are sitting near it, cross-legged on a fur-covered plank, and in your hands you cradle a wooden bowl that smells of smoke and old grain. Your first taste of food today is not sweet, not spiced, but it is warm, and that is enough. It is porridge. Barley, most likely, thickened with goat's milk, stirred slowly over low heat, again and again, until it swells with the warmth of the fire. There is no sugar, no fruit, just a hint of salt, if there is any to spare. The texture is coarse, uneven. Each bite is slightly different, some grains firmer, others soft. You chew slowly. You do not hurry. There is no need. A woman adds dried herbs to her bowl from a pouch tied at her waist. She pinches them between her fingers and drops them in without looking. The scent changes slightly. Earthy, sharp. Someone else breaks apart a piece of dense bread and dips it into the bowl. The crust is hard. The center is dense and chewy. It was baked 3 days ago in the stone oven outside, and the flavor tells you that clearly. Still, it fills the belly. You take another spoonful. The wood of the spoon is worn smooth from years of hands. The bowl is carved from ash wood, darker near the rim where thousands of lips have pressed against it. It has been passed down through more winters than you will ever know. In this world, even the tools have memories. There is no table, just knees, and furs and benches. No one speaks much during meals. They eat slowly, quietly, with purpose. Meals are not social affairs here. They are functional. To feed is to live. To waste is to shame. A child drops a crust and is softly tapped on the wrist. A silent lesson. There is water to drink, brought in heavy wooden buckets from the well, filtered through moss or cloth. Cold, metallic, clean enough, sometimes mead if it is a day of celebration. But not now, not today. Today is just a day of work. Plain water will do. You are not full when the meal is done, but you are not hungry either, just satisfied. The food sits heavy in your stomach, not with indulgence, but with substance. You are fueled, ready, quietly aware of what you have consumed. Outside the longhouse, more food is being prepared, but not for now, for later. A man kneels over a small fire, roasting dried fish to preserve it further. The smell is strong, oily, and clings to your nose. Nearby, a woman is boiling milk, watching closely to prevent scorching. A girl grinds grain on a flat stone, back and forth, her arms steady with practice. There are no recipes, no spices from far-off lands, no fat marbling meats, just what can be grown, caught, bartered, or stored: turnips, cabbage, onions, beans, salted herring, dried lamb, fresh eggs if the hens have laid. Root vegetables simmer in a clay pot, bubbling gently as the fire feeds it. The smell is thick, comforting, not delicious, not exotic, just whole, honest. It is food that knows its place in the world. You find yourself watching the hands of the women at work. Their movements are slow, practiced without hesitation. They do not speak as they stir, as they chop, as they knead, but they hum, sometimes, low, unshaped melodies that rise and fall with their breath. There is a peace in it. In this world, cooking is not a hobby. It is not an art. It is survival. It is a way to love your people without words. A bowl offered is as good as a song. A slice of bread is a gift of the body. A ladle of stew is a whisper that says, "You are alive, and I want you to stay that way." And you feel it, even in silence. You do not cook today. Not yet, but your hands itch to help. You wish to stir, to lift, to carry. It is not about flavor here. It is about warmth, about weight, about getting through the day. So you help carry firewood to keep the meals going. You rinse a pot in icy water that numbs your fingers. You dry your hands on the hem of your cloak and sit again near the fire. You drink another sip of broth. It tastes better than the first. Or maybe you are simply getting used to being part of this place. There is no rush, no second breakfast, no coffee, just enough, and then work. Always work. And the fire continues to whisper, low and warm, as if to say, you will need your strength. The day moves quietly forward, measured by labor and the slow rhythm of living. There is no clock to mark the hours, no bell to summon urgency. Instead, work comes like the tide, steady, unyielding, drawn by the needs of the village, the seasons, and the earth itself. You rise from your place near the fire, feeling the warmth, retreating from your skin. Outside, the sky remains heavy with mist. The cold clings to your cloak, and you pull it tighter around your shoulders. Your feet meet the frozen earth, uneven and firm beneath the soft soles of your shoes. Your first task is simple but necessary. You fetch a bundle of kindling, dry and brittle, from a small woodpile near the longhouse's entrance. The sticks crack softly in your hands, their rough bark scraping your fingers as you carry them back inside. The hearth flickers weakly. With slow motions, you arrange the kindling, coaxing the flames to grow. The fire responds with a gentle crackle, sending warmth that pushes back the chill that clings to your bones. Outside again, the village hums with quiet activity. You watch as a woman tends a small garden patch, her fingers gentle as she turns the soil, planting root vegetables that will feed her family come winter. The scent of damp earth rises, sharp and alive. A man guides a plow pulled by oxen through the frozen field, the animal's breath visible in the cold air. Their hooves sink slightly in the frosted ground. The scrape of wood and leather blends with the low murmur of conversation. You join in where you can, carrying water from the well, balancing a heavy bucket on your hip. The water is icy, biting at your skin through your thin gloves. You know, it will be worth it when the fire crackles steadily and the cooking pot bubbles. Each task is small, but together they form the fragile skeleton of daily survival. There is no time to dawdle, nor is there space for complaint. The world is harsh, yes, but the people meet it with quiet endurance. Their movements are efficient, practiced, a dance perfected through repetition and necessity. Inside the longhouse, you help sweep the floor, the broom bristles dragging stubborn dirt and straw across the worn boards. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and sweat, but also something softer, the faintest trace of dried herbs tucked into corners, meant to keep away sickness and bad spirits. A child watches you, wide-eyed but silent, clutching a worn wooden toy carved by an older sibling. You smile softly, careful not to startle. The child smiles back, shy and brief. The day continues. The sun remains a pale glow behind thick clouds, casting a muted light over the village. There is no hurry to finish, for tomorrow will bring the same work, the same needs, the same slow rhythm that carries life forward. You feel your muscles ache, faintly at first, then more deeply as the hours pass. The cold seeps back in during brief moments outside, biting into exposed skin. Your hands grow stiff. Your breath forms white clouds. Yet there is a strange comfort in the fatigue, a connection to the land and its demands. At midday, the scent of cooking draws you back to the longhouse. The fire roars now, casting dancing shadows. You help stir a thick stew, chunks of root vegetables and salted meat simmering slowly. The smell is rich and hearty, filling the room with warmth. Work is not just labor here. It is a language, a way of belonging, a quiet rhythm that binds the people to the land and to each other. And you, though a stranger, are beginning to understand its slow, steady song. Moments of quiet. Joy. In the midst of hard labor and relentless cold, the people of the village find their moments of quiet joy. Leisure here is not loud or crowded. It is gentle and slow, like the flickering flame of a candle in a dark room. It exists in small rituals, in soft laughter shared beneath heavy wooden beams, in the simple pleasure of a game or a story told by the fire. You find yourself invited to sit beside a group gathered near the hearth. The air is warm, thick with smoke, and the faint scent of dried herbs. The longhouse glows with the soft amber light, casting deep shadows that seem to sway with the voices. A man strums a lyre, its notes low and sweet, like the distant sound of waves lapping against shore. Children play quietly in a corner, their fingers nimble as they move small carved pieces across a wooden board. It is a game of strategy, of patience, one that has passed down through generations. You watch their eyes, bright, focused, yet calm, and feel the slow pulse of life that beats through these simple pleasures. There is storytelling, too. An elder's voice rises and falls, weaving tales of gods and giants, of heroes long dead and battles fought in storms. The words are not sharp or quick. They roll out like smoke, curling around listeners and settling deep in their bones. You listen, wrapped in the warmth of the room, feeling the weight of history pressing softly against your skin. The laughter here is different. Soft, restrained, but genuine. It bubbles up in shared memories and small jokes, a quiet rebellion against the hardness of the outside world. When someone stumbles over a word, the group smiles without mocking, offering gentle encouragement instead. Celebrations come slowly, marked by the turning of the seasons or the success of a hunt. There is feasting, but never excess. The food is shared in careful portions, each bite savored. Mead flows in small cups, its sweetness a rare comfort. Music rises and falls like the tide, and feet move lightly on the wooden floor, not in wild abandon, but in measured steps, a dance that honors both the body and the earth beneath it. You try to join in. Your movements are hesitant, unsure. Your voice is quiet when you speak, careful not to break the fragile peace. But you are welcomed, not as a stranger, but as a guest in this slow, breathing world. Here, joy is not shouted, it is whispered. It lingers in the quiet corners of the longhouse, in the gentle touch of a hand, in the shared warmth of a fire that never truly dies. And for a moment, you forget the cold outside. You forget the hunger, the hard work, the weight of survival. You simply exist in this soft, amber-lit world, cradled by stories and songs, by laughter that does not demand much, by the gentle pulse of life itself. The heart of the Longhouse. The Longhouse is more than wood and thatch. It is a living place where life unfolds in slow, measured breaths. The pulse of family, the whisper of ties that bind, the quiet dance of presence and absence. Inside, the hearth glows softly, its light touching faces worn by wind and time. You notice the careful way people move around one another. A touch here, a glance there, a shared nod that speaks volumes without words. These are not grand gestures, but subtle signals of connection, of belonging. Women gather near the fire, their hands busy with spinning wool or weaving cloth. Their fingers move deftly, fingers stained by dye or soot, nails trimmed short from work and care. A child nestles against a mother's side, warm and safe. The child's breath rises in gentle puffs, a soft rhythm that matches the crackle of the fire. The mother hums a low, wordless tune, a lullaby carried down through countless nights. Men sit in quiet clusters, their conversations low and careful. They speak of the day's work, of weather, of news from far-off places carried by, travelers or traders. Their voices are steady, calm, the tone of men who have learned to listen as much as to speak. They lean on wooden staffs or rest their hands on rough-hewn tables, grounding themselves in the solidity of the place. Families here are woven tightly. The Longhouse shelters not just parents and children, but often extended kin, grandparents, aunts, uncles, all sharing space, warmth, and duties. There is little privacy, but also little loneliness. The boundaries between lives blur gently, like threads in a tapestry. You observe the rituals of care. A father hands a cup of water to an elder, who drinks slowly, eyes closed in thanks. A young woman braids the hair of an older sister, careful and patient, weaving strands as if stitching together memories. There is no rush. There is no impatience. Love here is not shouted. It is shown in the steady presence, in the shared work, in the soft words spoken beside sleeping children. It is in the way hands find one another in the dim light, fingers curling, holding, comforting. It is in the way eyes meet and linger just a moment longer than necessary. Disagreements come, as they do everywhere, but they are handled quietly. Voices rarely rise above a murmur, a stern word, a careful apology. The community must hold together, for survival depends on it. To fracture the family is to fracture the very ground beneath your feet. You feel the weight of this closeness. It is both comfort and constraint, a safety net woven from many lives, a responsibility that never sleeps. You realize that to belong here means more than just living. It means carrying the lives of others alongside your own. It means knowing that every action ripples outward, touching hearts and hearths alike. The day softens into evening. The Longhouse breathes with life. Children yawn and settle beneath warm furs. The fire dims to glowing embers. Quiet conversations fade into silence. And you, wrapped in the cloak of this ancient home, feel the deep, slow heartbeat of family, steady, enduring, and quietly infinite. The air around you feels charged, heavy with unseen presence. It is not just the smoke from the hearth or the mist curling beyond the village. It is something more, something ancient, woven deep into the fabric of this world. The gods walk here, though you cannot see them. Their breath is the wind, their voice the crackle of fire. In Viking times, belief was not a private thing. It was breathed with every morning, spoken in every word, and carried on every journey. The gods were many. Odin, with his one eye, watching, from the high branches. Thor, whose hammer shattered storms. Freya, whose tears became gold. They were fierce, capricious, and close, their realms brushing against the edges of the human. You see offerings placed carefully near the longhouse's edge, a bowl of milk, a handful of grain, a small carving of wood or bone. These gifts are quiet whispers to the divine, tokens of respect and hope. No grand temples stand here. The sacred is in the trees, in the rivers, in the very stones beneath your feet. Rituals shape the rhythm of life. The morning sacrifice, when a small portion of the day's food is offered to the gods, asks for protection and favor. The midwinter blot, where the community gathers to honor the cycles of nature, is both solemn and filled with soft songs and shared warmth. The Godi, the spiritual leader, moves with quiet authority. His presence commands respect without shouting. His chants are low, almost hypnotic, a thread pulling the village's soul toward the divine. You hear the faint beat of a drum, steady and slow, echoing the heartbeat of the earth itself. The rituals are not only for gods but for ancestors. The past walks beside the present here, and remembering is sacred. Names are spoken aloud, stories passed gently from one generation to the next. The dead are honored with care, for they are believed to linger, guardians and guides. Magic, too, lives in this world, not in the flashy spells of stories, but in subtle signs. Runes carved into wood or bone carry power. Charms worn beneath clothing protect from harm. The whisper of incantations is like a breeze threading through the trees, felt but unseen. You feel a hush settle over the village as dusk approaches. Torches are lit, small flames trembling in the growing dark. The Godi leads a circle of voices, in a prayer that feels like the earth itself breathing, slow and eternal. In this sacred space, fear and hope are entwined. The gods demand respect, and in return, they offer strength. The boundary between the human and the divine is thin, porous, alive. You are a visitor here, walking softly on hallowed ground. In this world, much is unknown, and what is unknown is both feared and revered. The people live closely with the natural and the supernatural, their days guided by subtle signs and quiet omens that flutter like shadows at the edge of vision. They believe the world speaks to them in riddles, in hints hidden beneath the ordinary. A raven's call breaks the silence, sharp and sudden. It is not just a bird's cry, but a message, sometimes a warning, sometimes a blessing. Ravens are messengers of Odin, watchers between worlds. To hear one near your home is to feel the gaze of the gods, steady and unblinking. The wind itself carries meaning. A sudden gust might be the breath of a restless spirit. The direction it blows can foretell fortune or misfortune. The villagers watch the leaves, the smoke, the shifting clouds, reading them like sacred texts written in the sky. Animals are both companions and omens. A black cat crossing your path might bring bad luck. A deer glimpsed at dawn signals peace. The behavior of livestock is observed carefully. If a cow refuses to be milked or a horse stamps nervously, it is a sign that something is unsettled in the unseen world. Hiccups, a common ailment, are thought to be tiny curses crawling up the throat, released only by quick, sharp actions or prayers. Mothers whisper old remedies learned from their mothers before them, gestures meant to chase away invisible troubles. The villagers carry charms, carved stones, knotted cords, small bones, tucked beneath their clothes. These talismans are silent guards against the unknown, wards against envy, sickness, and harm. They are not mere superstition, but woven threads of protection in a world where control is limited. Dreams are taken seriously. A dream of water might mean change, of fire, transformation, or danger. When a child dreams of the sea, the elders listen closely, interpreting the symbols that cross the thin veil of sleep. You notice how often eyes drift to the horizon, to the sky, to the shifting shadows. This is a place where the veil between worlds is thin, where the present and the past mingle quietly, and the future is whispered in signs that demand attention. To live here is to live with a gentle fear, a constant respect for the unseen. It is to listen closely to the world's quiet murmur, to watch the subtle dance of omens that guide each step, each breath. And you, walking softly through this time, begin to understand that some things are not meant to be seen, only felt. The key. Night settles softly over the village, thick with mist and silence. In the flickering glow of the hearth, stories are spoken, not shouted, but breathed, like a shared secret passed from lips to ear. These are the myths and legends of Viking times, tales that live in the shadows and the quiet spaces between words. You listen as an elder begins. His voice is low, steady, carrying the weight of countless winters. He speaks of Yggdrasil, the great ash tree that holds the worlds together, its roots tangled in the deep earth, its branches stretching beyond the stars. Beneath its boughs lie 9 realms, each a world of wonder and danger. Asgard, the home of the gods. Midgard, the world of men, and Hel, the shadowed land of the dead. You imagine the tree, vast and endless, a living bridge between life and death, between the mortal and the divine. Its leaves whisper secrets to those who will listen. Its roots drink the tears of the earth. The elder tells of Odin, the all-seeing god who sacrificed his eye to gain wisdom. You hear of his ravens, Hugin and Munin, who fly the worlds to bring him news. He is a god of knowledge and sacrifice, a wanderer who walks the thin line between light and darkness. Then comes Thor, hammer raised, thunder roaring. Protector of men, his strength is unmatched, but even he fears the end that waits at Ragnarok, the final battle when worlds will burn and be reborn. The stories do not shy from endings. They speak of death and destruction, but also of renewal and hope. Freya, goddess of love and war, moves through the tales like a shadow. Beautiful, fierce, complex. She rides a chariot pulled by cats, gathers the souls of fallen warriors, and holds the power of magic and fate. These stories are more than entertainment. They are lessons, warnings, ways to understand the world's wildness and mystery. They remind the listeners of their place in the great unfolding tapestry, where gods and giants, men and monsters, all play their parts. You hear of heroes, brave, men and clever women, who outwit trolls, face dragons, and cross into the realm of the dead to bring back knowledge or treasure. Their journeys are long and perilous, but their courage is steady, their hearts strong, and in the telling, you feel yourself drawn deeper into this ancient world, its fears, its hopes, its endless dance of light and shadow. The myths are not distant stories. They are the breath of the people, the pulse of their nights, the quiet fire that keeps the darkness at bay. You listen. You dream. You become part of the story. In the world you have entered, medicine is a whisper in the shadows, a careful balance between knowledge and mystery. Healing is woven from the earth itself, from plants, roots, and the soft hands of those who have learned to listen to the body's quiet cries. There are no hospitals here, no doctors in white coats. Instead, there are wise women and men, healers, whose skills are passed down through generations, spoken in hushed tones and taught by watching closely. They know the language of herbs, the bitter bite of yarrow, the soothing balm of willow bark, the sharp tang of nettle. When illness comes, it is met with a mixture of care and caution. The healer uses poultices pressed warm against wounds, boiled herbs sipped slowly to quiet fevers, and prayers whispered softly to the gods for strength. Healing is as much about the spirit as the flesh, and rituals accompany remedies. A chant, a touch, a blessing. You observe how wounds are cleaned with water drawn fresh from the well, then covered with linen strips steeped in healing salves, made from crushed flowers and animal fats. The smell is earthy, strong, a mixture of nature and necessity. Infection is feared, for it can swiftly claim a life, and so the healer works carefully with steady hands and quiet prayers. Bones broken. In accidents are set and bound tightly with splints made from wood, wrapped in leather strips. There is no painkiller beyond the cold earth air and the slow passing of time. The patient must endure, supported by the community's watchful eyes. Mental illness is not understood as we know it. Instead, it is seen as a disturbance of the spirit, a shadow cast by restless gods or wandering spirits. The healer may use charms, ritual baths, or isolation to soothe the troubled mind, always seeking to restore balance between body, soul, and the unseen world. You see small children with colds wrapped in thick wool, their tiny breaths visible in the chill air. Mothers hum softly as they stroke fevered brows, offering sips of warm broth and quiet comfort. The village does what it can, but death is never far, a constant, quiet presence lurking at the edges of life. Medicine here is humble. It is slow. It is a prayer and a promise, a delicate dance with the natural world, trusting in its cycles even as it faces its limits, and through it all, you feel a deep respect growing for the hands that heal, for the quiet strength of endurance, and for the fragile thread that holds life steady in the face of relentless uncertainty. Death in this world is both feared and accepted, a shadow that walks alongside life, patient and inevitable. It is not a sudden stranger, but an old companion, known and honored in the quietest ways. When someone dies, the village moves softly. The body is washed with water drawn fresh from the spring, the skin cleansed carefully, fingers and toes tended as if to soothe the last journey. The scent of herbs, lavender, juniper, or thyme, rises gently from bundles placed beside the still form, their fragrance both a comfort and a shield against wandering spirits. The dead are clothed in their finest garments, woven tunics, cloaks fastened with brooches, sometimes a simple ring or pendant. These are not luxuries, but tokens of respect, symbols of passage and memory. The body is laid on a bed of straw inside the longhouse or a small wooden chamber, surrounded by quiet prayers and the soft murmur of lament. Family and neighbors gather, close, their voices low and steady, weaving stories of the departed's life, tales of strength, kindness, bravery, or simple everyday moments that bind the living to the lost. Tears fall silently, and hands reach out to hold or touch, to affirm connection even as the soul prepares to depart. The burial itself is a ceremony shrouded in mystery and reverence. Some are placed in mounds of earth, high barrows that rise, like gentle hills, watched over by stone markers carved with runes. Others are laid to rest in boats, vessels to carry them across the waters to the realm of the dead, the final voyage whispered in ancient tongues. The dead are believed to enter another world, a shadowed reflection of the living, where they watch over kin and wait for the day when all will meet again. The afterlife is not seen as an end, but a continuation, where ancestors guard their families, where gods and spirits mingle in realms unseen. Rituals mark this passage, offerings of food and drink left at the graveside, tokens buried with the body to aid the journey, songs sung softly as twilight falls. The village pauses, held in the stillness of remembrance. Fear of restless spirits is real. The living take care to honor the dead properly, lest the soul linger and trouble the world of the living. Protective charms and spoken blessings are part of the sacred dance that keeps balance between worlds. In the silence that follows, you feel the weight of generations resting on the earth beneath your feet. Life and death are woven tightly here, two sides of the same slow-moving river. To live is to know the passage, to accept its quiet certainty. And as night deepens, you sense the soft breath of ancestors around you, their stories folded into the shadows, guiding you gently toward rest. The quiet jester in the shadows. In every village there is one who does not quite fit, not because they are unwanted, but because their spirit dances on a different rhythm, a softer, more elusive beat. The fool, the outsider, the trickster, they move lightly through the longhouse, a shadow that both unsettles and comforts. You see him now, sitting near the fire with a crooked smile, eyes twinkling with mischief yet gentle with knowing. His clothes are worn and mismatched, colors faded and patched, but there is a spark in his gaze that no threadbare fabric can hide. He is not loud. His laughter is low, a quiet ripple that spreads slowly through the room. He is the one who speaks. Truths hidden beneath jokes, who mocks the mighty with a soft edge, who uses humor to soothe the sharp edges of life. Yet, he is also watched closely. His words carry weight, though wrapped in riddles and whispers. The villagers both cherish and keep their distance. His role is vital but fragile. He is the release valve for tension, the subtle reminder that even in hard times, the human spirit can bend without breaking. You notice how he moves among the children, pulling faces that coax shy smiles, how he tells stories that twist and turn, leaving listeners both puzzled and delighted. His tales are never harsh. They are threads of light woven through the heavy fabric of daily life. But there is loneliness here too, a quiet solitude wrapped in the cloak of humor. He is often alone at night, wandering the village edges where the shadows grow long, speaking softly to the stars or the wind. You feel a tenderness toward this figure. His laughter hides much, but beneath it lies a deep understanding, a knowing of the world's pain and the fragile hope that laughter can bring. He is a part of the village's heartbeat, a whispered song that eases the silence, a gentle light flickering against the dark. In the village, power wears many faces, none loud or ostentatious. It is held softly, like the slow turning of seasons, carried in steady hands and measured words. The power figure, whether chieftain, judge, or priest, moves with quiet certainty, a presence that commands respect without shouting. You see him now, sitting slightly apart near the longhouse's hearth. His cloak is heavier than most, dyed, a deep, muted color, fastened with a brooch that gleams faintly in the firelight. His eyes are steady, calm, weighing each moment carefully. He speaks rarely, but when he does, his voice carries the stillness of a lake, deep and unshakable. This is a man who understands the fragile balance of life here. He settles disputes with patience, listening to voices rising and falling like the tide, offering judgments that are whispered, not declared. His decisions shape the lives of many, but they come with the humility of one who knows that power is a burden, not a gift. In his role as priest or Godi, he bridges the mortal and the divine. He leads rituals with steady hands, guiding prayers that float softly through the longhouse like incense smoke. His knowledge of runes and sacred chants is a quiet flame, illuminating the dark corners of fear and uncertainty. You watch as villagers approach him with bowed heads and whispered requests. He listens with the weight of responsibility pressing gently on his shoulders. He offers counsel, not promises, knowing that the future is as unpredictable as the shifting sea. His strength is not in muscle or sword, but in presence, a steady heartbeat in the village's slow, unfolding story. You sense the loneliness, too, the distance that authority brings. Few share his burdens, and fewer still understand the quiet toll of guiding a community through harsh winters and uncertain days. Yet, despite it all, he remains, a steady pillar, a calm harbor in the restless sea. You settle beside a man whose hands are worn and rough, a life story written in calluses and faint scars. He is a peasant, a farmer whose days begin before dawn and stretch long into the cold twilight. His voice is low, steady, like the earth beneath his feet, firm, enduring, unyielding. He speaks softly of mornings spent tilling the stubborn soil, the scent of fresh earth rising with the sun, the slow rhythm of planting and harvesting that marks the passing seasons. The wind often cuts through the fields like a blade, but he has learned to move with it, not against it. He tells of weather that can be both friend and foe, the gentle rain that nurtures crops, the relentless storms that threaten all he has worked for. There is no complaining in his words, only quiet acceptance of the land's demands. Food is scarce and hard-won. Barley and rye, root vegetables dug from frozen ground, milk from goats that graze on thin grass. Each meal is precious, each bite a testament to survival. He describes how the family gathers in the longhouse at dusk, sharing what little they have, voices low and tired but full of gratitude. His days are filled with labor, not just in the fields, but in the home, tending animals, mending tools, chopping wood. There is little time for rest, but even in the smallest moments he finds peace. A brief pause to watch the sun dip behind the hills, to feel the warmth of a child's hand in his. He speaks of community, neighbors who share the burdens and the joys, who gather to celebrate the turning of the year, who offer help without question when illness or hardship strikes. There is strength in these bonds, fragile yet enduring. His tale is not one of heroics or grandeur, but of quiet resilience, a life shaped by the slow, steady hands of time and nature. It is a story that breathes patience, humility, and the deep, unspoken love that holds families and villages together. As he finishes, you feel the weight of his world, the beauty and the hardship, the solitude and the connection. You realize that in this simple existence lies a profound strength, one that sustains life through the coldest nights and the longest winters. You meet a merchant, a traveler whose life is shaped by movement and exchange. His clothes are worn but sturdy, carrying the faint sense of distant places, salt from the sea, spices from foreign markets, the earth of many roads traveled. His eyes are sharp, scanning horizons both near and far, always alert yet calm. He begins his day before the village stirs, packing goods carefully into wooden chests and cloth bundles. The weight is familiar, a steady burden borne with practiced hands. There are furs, finely tanned and soft, gathered from northern forests. There are tools, knives, needles, and simple trinkets that might find new homes in distant villages. There are grains and dried fish, carefully wrapped to preserve freshness. The merchant's journey is slow, measured by footpaths carved through, dense forests by rivers that flow cold and relentless, by longships that slice through gray waves. Travel is dangerous, not because of bandits alone, but because the land itself can be unforgiving. Swollen rivers, sudden storms, and the endless challenge of finding shelter. At markets, he speaks softly but confidently, weighing goods and money with quiet care. His voice carries a calm authority, each word chosen with thought. Bargaining here is not a game of aggression but a dance of respect and necessity. Both parties seek survival. Both seek to build trust that may carry forward into the next trade. The merchant's life is lonely in many ways. Nights spent in unfamiliar longhouses or beneath cold stars, meals shared with strangers whose names he may forget by morning. Yet there is freedom in the road's endless stretch, a rhythm found in the steady passing of landscapes and the hum of distant towns. He tells of the people he meets, farmers and warriors, craftsmen and storytellers, each carrying pieces of their own worlds, weaving a quiet tapestry of connection that spans the lands. His goods are more than objects. They are stories, hopes, and lifelines. In this slow, whispering world, The merchant moves like a thread linking distant places, a quiet pulse connecting lives and histories. You feel the soft weight of his journey, the endurance, the caution, the silent courage of a life always on the edge of the next horizon. The traveler arrives quietly, as if the wind carried him in on soft feet. His cloak is dust-streaked and heavy, his boots worn thin from miles walked across forests, mountains, and cold rivers. His eyes hold the weight of distant places, places you have only heard whispered in stories but never truly imagined. He speaks in a low voice, careful not to disturb the fragile calm of the longhouse. His words come slowly, as if each one must be chosen with care. He tells of lands where the sun never fully sets, where endless forests stretch beyond the horizon, and where strange tongues fill the air like song. He confesses to the fears that followed him, the loneliness of endless roads, the cold that seeps into bones when no fire is near, the hunger gnawing quietly in the night. He speaks of storms that chased him like ghosts, of shadows that seemed to shift with the moon's passing. Yet, amidst these trials, there is wonder. The traveler recalls meeting people whose smiles were rare but sincere, whose hands offered kindness without question. He describes markets where goods from distant seas gleam in the sun, where spices fill the air with scents that dance and linger. He confesses, too, to moments of doubt, wondering if the journey is worth the wait it carries, if the distant lands hold promise or only more hardship. But in the quiet moments before dawn, he finds solace in the stars, their ancient light guiding him forward. The traveler's confession is not one of triumph or grandeur. It is a quiet story of endurance, of seeking belonging in a world that is vast and often unforgiving. It is the soft murmur of a soul longing for home, even as it moves ever onward. You listen, wrapped in the fire's glow, feeling the steady pulse of the road beneath his words. A slow, unending journey, whispered across the folds of time. Even in a world so steeped in hard labor and quiet endurance, there are moments that slip into laughter. Not loud or boisterous, but soft and knowing, shared in the flickering firelight like a secret between old friends. You hear now of a man who once declared himself king. It was not in grand ceremony, nor with a crown of gold, but with a crooked smile and a makeshift throne carved from driftwood. The village watched with a mix of amusement and disbelief as he strutted through the longhouse, demanding tribute of fish and wool. But the joke, gentle as it was, turned to embarrassment when the man forgot the very name of his kingdom. He paused, mid-decree, eyes darting, tongue twisting around words that once came easy. The room fell silent, save for a soft ripple of chuckles. His reign lasted but a day, a whispered legend carried on the breath of the village. Another tale tells of a young woman who, in a moment of confusion, brought a basket of stones instead of eggs to market. She realized only when the buyer smiled, kindly, and accepted the mistake with patience. The stones became a symbol of good humor and forgiveness, passed between neighbors with quiet smiles. These stories are not told to shame, but to remind that even in the harshest times, humanity carries its lightness. That folly is a thread woven into the fabric of life, softening edges and binding people with shared smiles. You feel the warmth of these whispered tales, a gentle balm against the cold, a quiet echo of laughter that has traveled through centuries, soft and enduring. You wake slowly. The cold air touches your skin with a gentle bite, coaxing your eyes to flutter open. The room is dim, wrapped in shadows cast by the flickering embers of the dying fire. Your breath rises in quiet clouds, mingling with the faint scent of wood smoke and damp earth. The longhouse is still, but alive with soft movements, the rustle of blankets, the shift of bodies beneath heavy furs. A child stirs nearby, sighing softly before settling once more into sleep. Outside, the first light is a muted gray, filtering through the narrow window slits, hinting at a sky thick with mist. You feel the weight of the night slowly lift, replaced by the cool promise of dawn. Your fingers brush against rough wool and worn leather. The floor beneath your feet is cold and uneven, reminding you gently of the world beyond warmth. Sounds begin to stir. The distant clatter of pots, a muted cough, the low murmur of voices preparing for the day. Each sound is small, careful, a slow unfolding rather than a sudden rush. You breathe deeply, taking in the stillness and the subtle rhythms of the longhouse waking. The chill seeps into your bones, but the promise of fire and work draws you gently to rise. There is no hurry here, no harsh alarm, just the quiet insistence of a world turning toward light. You pull your cloak close, steady your steps, and step softly into the new day. You step outside, and the cold wraps around you like a thin, sharp veil. The air is crisp, heavy with the scent of wet earth and pine. Your breath rises in gentle clouds, swirling softly before fading into the gray morning. The ground beneath your feet is firm but uneven, dotted with patches of frost that crunch quietly as you walk. Around you, the village stirs with deliberate calm. A woman carries a bucket of water from the well, her steps measured, the wooden. Pail's rough surface cool and slightly damp beneath her hands. Nearby, children chase quietly among the fences, their laughter soft and fleeting like the wind's whisper. You see a man tending to the animals, goats and chickens clustered near. The pen, their feathers and fur fluffed against the cold. His hands move with practiced care as he brushes the animals, speaking to them in low, soothing tones. The sounds of the longhouse's wooden door creaking open, the faint clink of iron tools being gathered, blend into the soft murmur of the waking day. Your own tasks begin slowly. Perhaps you carry bundles of kindling, the dry twigs light and brittle in your arms. Each stick snaps softly when broken, the crisp sound carried briefly in the still air. Or you help tend the small garden patch, fingers brushing against cold soil, feeling its damp grit slip between your nails. The wind stirs, bringing distant scents, pine resin, smoke from distant fires, the faint hint of salt from the sea beyond. The hills. Every breath you take feels sharp and alive, grounding you in the moment. There is no rush, no frantic hurry. The day unfolds in measured steps, each movement deliberate and steady. The quiet chatter of neighbors exchanging greetings, the soft clatter of tools against wood, the steady rhythm of labor. These sounds weave together into a gentle symphony. Of life. You pause briefly to watch a bird, small and dark, flitting between branches, its wings stirring the cold air. The moment is delicate, a still point in the slow turning of the day. And then you move again, your body waking fully with each step, joined to the quiet pulse of the village, to the rhythm of work and the soft unfolding of morning. As the sun climbs slowly through the gray sky, the village gathers once more around the hearth. The fire crackles softly, sending warm light dancing across the wooden beams and casting long, gentle shadows that stretch and sway. The air is thick, with the comforting scent of cooking, barley porridge simmering, root vegetables bubbling in a clay pot, the faint, smoky aroma of dried fish roasting over embers. The sounds are subtle, the soft clink of wooden spoons against bowls, the murmur of quiet conversation, the distant call of a rooster marking time. You find a place near the fire, settling onto a rough-hewn bench covered with worn furs. Your hands. Cup a wooden bowl filled with thick, warm broth. It is simple, hearty, a nourishment born of earth and sea. You bring the spoon slowly to your lips, tasting the warmth that spreads gently through your chest, steadying and real. Around you, others. Eat quietly. Faces are calm, eyes lowered in respect for the meal and the hands that prepared it. There is no hurry, no noise, Just the shared, unspoken understanding that this moment is a fragile pause, a soft breath in the rhythm of the day. You chew slowly, aware of the coarse texture of the barley, the subtle saltiness of the fish. The bread beside you is dense and slightly dry, its crust cracked and rough under your fingers. Each bite is deliberate, a meditation on sustenance and survival. Outside, the wind whispers through the village, carrying faint scents of pine and cold earth. The light shifts subtly, the day moving on as meals come and go, marking time in the quiet pulse of life. You take another sip of broth, feeling its warmth deepen within you. It is not luxury, nor indulgence. It is enough. Enough to carry you forward. Enough to keep you part of this slow, unfolding world. And as the meal ends, you sense the steady beat of life around you, the soft flow of days that have moved like this for generations. Steady, quiet, enduring. The afternoon stretches before you like, a gentle sigh, neither hurried nor still, but a slow unfolding between effort and ease. The sky remains a pale canvas, soft clouds drifting lazily across the muted light. The cold lingers, but the fire's warmth inside the longhouse calls softly, inviting moments of rest. Outside, the village moves with quiet purpose. You see men, bent over fences, repairing wood with worn tools, their hands steady and sure, their breaths deep and measured. Women gather by the wells, their voices low as they share small stories and laughter that feel like whispers between the stones. You walk slowly along the path between thatched roofs, feeling the rough texture of cold earth beneath your boots. The scent of damp moss and crushed pine needles rises with each step, mingling with faint smoke from cooking fires. Your tasks continue, but the pace has softened. You carry fresh water to the hearth, its chill biting at your fingers but welcomed, as a reminder of life's rhythm. You help mend torn cloth, stitching patiently with a bone needle, your fingers numb but precise. In quieter moments, you pause to watch children at play. Their laughter is a gentle melody, soft, fleeting, and delicate as the winter breeze. They chase one another with clumsy steps, their breath visible in the cold air, their joy a quiet rebellion against the day's hardship. Some elders sit outside, wrapped in thick cloaks, their eyes closed as they soak in the muted sunlight. Their faces are calm, etched with years of stories untold. They breathe slowly, deeply, as if the world itself moves at their pace. Inside the longhouse, the fire burns low but steady, casting flickering shadows on the walls. You find a moment to rest, settling onto a fur-covered bench. The warmth seeps into your bones, a soft contrast to the chill outside. Leisure here is not loud or restless. It is found in small things, a shared glance, a quiet smile, a story told in hushed tones. It is the gentle balance between the demands of survival and the need for connection. You feel the day's weight easing, replaced by a calm awareness of your place within this slow, breathing world. And as the light fades gently toward evening, you prepare for the coming night, wrapped in the steady embrace of time's quiet unfolding. The sky darkens softly, folding into shades of deep gray and gentle indigo. The last pale light slips away, swallowed quietly by the encroaching night. You feel the air grow colder still, the breath of the evening settling over the village like a soft blanket woven from shadows. Inside the longhouse, the fire glows low, its amber light flickering gently across worn timber and rough-hewn beams. The scent of smoldering wood mingles with the faint traces of dried herbs hanging in bundles from the rafters. The air is thick with warmth and the quiet weight of the day's end. People move slowly now, voices hushed to whispers, footsteps softened on straw-covered floors. Children nestle beneath thick furs, their breathing even and calm, already slipping toward dreams. Mothers hum low lullabies, ancient melodies that weave through the stillness like a gentle breeze. You sit near the hearth, feeling the heat seep into your chilled bones. The steady crackle of the fire is a comforting rhythm, a heartbeat steady and slow. Outside, the wind murmurs softly through the trees, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth, a lullaby from the woods themselves. You breathe deeply, letting your muscles relax, your thoughts soften. The day's labor fades into memory, replaced by the quiet peace of rest. Your eyes grow heavy, lids fluttering like the last sparks rising from the hearth. The village exhales collectively, sinking into the embrace of night. Stars begin to peek through the darkening sky, distant and steady, watching over the world below with ancient light. You feel yourself drifting, weightless, gentle, carried on the slow current of night's hush. The fire dims, the wind rests, and the longhouse sleeps. You breathe, and sleep finds you. You return now to your own time, to a world transformed by centuries of change, where warmth comes from flicking a switch and food appears with ease at your fingertips. The days are brighter, the nights quieter, and yet there is something here, in this moment, that calls you back to the slow rhythms of the past. Back then, life was shaped by the pulse of nature, by seasons turning, by the sun's rise and fall, by the relentless dance of cold and warmth. The world was slower, harsher, full of uncertainty. Every breath, every step, every meal was earned through patient endurance. There were no shortcuts, no instant answers. Today, you live in a world of comfort, of abundance, of light that never truly fades. The fire you keep burning now is electric, constant. The food you eat is varied, often sweet, sometimes indulgent. You are connected to distant places with ease, to people with a single tap or call. Yet, beneath the noise and convenience, there remains a longing, a soft ache for something lost. The simplicity of days measured not by calendars or screens, but by the earth itself. The quiet strength of community bound by shared toil and whispered stories. What was gained with progress is immense. Medicine that heals without pain. Technology that extends life and lightens burdens. Freedom to choose paths unknown. The world is larger now and smaller all at once. Doors that once were closed swing wide, and knowledge floods the mind. But what was lost? The slow, deliberate patience of waiting. The deep connection to land and season. The humility of knowing one's place in a vast and often indifferent world. The tender interweaving of lives caught in the same fragile web. You feel this balance now, a soft tension between then and now, between the old and the new, and you hold it gently, without judgment, with quiet gratitude. This reflection is not a longing to return, but an invitation to carry forward the calm resilience, the mindful presence, the whispered stories that once held a people together through cold winters and long nights. You breathe deeply. You feel the steady beat of time. Beneath your feet, past and present converging softly like a tide, and in this moment, you are here, you are now. As you sit quietly in your own space, far removed from the harsh cold of the Viking world, you begin to reflect on the journey, on what humanity has gained and what it has gently left behind. Progress has brought remarkable gifts. Medicine that eases pain and cures diseases once thought unstoppable. Technology that connects us across vast distances. Freedom to choose paths that were once unimaginable. The warmth of central heating replaces the crackling hearth. Clean water flows freely, and food is abundant and varied, no longer scarce or hard-won. These advances have shaped a world of possibility. They have extended lives, brightened days, and softened hardships. Yet, with these gifts come quiet losses. The deep, slow rhythms of nature have been replaced by the hum of machines and the glow of screens. The intimate knowledge of seasons and soil has faded into calendar dates and grocery store aisles. The communal bonds forged through shared labor and survival have loosened in the face of individual pace and privacy. Where once the world's cycles demanded patience and endurance, now instant gratification beckons. The silence of long nights by the fire has given way to constant noise. The simple acts of storytelling and listening are sometimes overshadowed by rapid information and fleeting attention. But these losses are not failures. They are the gentle costs of growth, choices made to open doors, to explore new horizons. And perhaps, within these shifts, there remains room to carry forward the calm wisdom of the past, to slow down, to listen more deeply, to find strength in patience and connection. You breathe softly, embracing this balance, the mingling of what was and what is, of history and modern life, held gently within your awareness. Now, as the journey draws gently to a close, you find yourself back in your own time in your own quiet space. The world you left behind, the harsh cold, the slow days, the flickering fires, is still with you, softly woven into your breath and heartbeat. You rest upon your bed, your own familiar comforts surrounding you, the blankets that hold warmth, without weight, the soft hum of distant life beyond your walls, the steady pulse of your own breath, calm and slow. You carry with you the echoes of a time long past, the patience of slow mornings, the tenderness of whispered stories, the gentle strength of enduring the day with quiet grace. Now you have the freedom to choose, to hold on to this calm, to breathe deeply, to rest fully. Your body grows heavy. Your mind softens. The cares of the world fall away like leaves drifting in a gentle stream. You are safe. You are home. And now the only thing left is to let yourself drift, to slip softly into sleep, carried by the quiet rhythm of the night. May your dreams be gentle, your rest deep, and your waking kind. The fire dims to glowing embers, their soft red light pulsing slowly, like the steady beat of a quiet heart. The longhouse breathes with the fading warmth, the last whispers of smoke curling lazily toward the darkened rafters. Outside, the wind rests. Trees stand still, their branches barely moving in the hush of night. The world is wrapped in a gentle silence that holds everything, past, present, and dreams alike. You lie still, your breath deep and even, the weight of the day settling softly into your bones. The blankets around you are warm, a comforting embrace that feels like the earth itself cradling you close. Your eyes close, fluttering like leaves falling on a slow breeze. The boundaries between here and there grow thin, and the past drifts, away like a fading shadow. You breathe in the quiet. You breathe out the day. The stories, the struggles, the gentle moments of another time rest beside you now, tucked into the folds of your dreams. And as sleep finds you, soft and sure, the world around you slips into darkness, peaceful, whole, and still. The fire dims, the wind rests. You breathe, and sleep welcomes you home.